What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today, turns out Drax has already been revealed. I'm going to be honest with you, this seems early. Like, don't get me wrong, I told you Drax was going to be the next hero pack, I told you it was going to be coming out in June. These were correct predictions for what it's worth, but they were also super easy predictions to make, and I can't really pat myself on the back too much for making them because, come on, it was pretty obvious. But I'm sitting here on the 10th of March, and I made my Gamora video on the 24th of February, which is like 2 weeks and 3 days ago. So, it's not been very long, ladies and gentlemen. It has not been very long at all. In fact, I read the calendar wrong. It's been exactly 2 weeks. But these are released every month, not every 2 weeks. I'm not complaining. I like having new Marvel Champion stuff to talk about. But let's just say it's a little bit earlier than I imagined. So it is Drax. We knew it was going to be Drax. Drax was the 5th member of the main Guardians of the Galaxy. We'd been shown the other 4. It makes perfect sense. We do have confirmation that this will be coming out in June. Kind of had to come out in June, right? Because we'd already been told very clearly that Star-Lord was going to be coming in May, and as a very welcome surprise, we were also told that Gamora was going to be coming in May, so there's no way we were going to have a third one in May. That would be a little bit silly, and similarly, there's no reason to release 2 in May and then skip June and go straight to July. That also would make absolutely no sense, so it pretty much had to be June. So we've got Drax. Drax is coming in June. What do we know? Well, we know a bit. We've had a reveal, we've seen the champion himself, so let's have a little bit of a gander. Now, we might as well start off with Drax. Remember, although we have an alter ego mode, it's still just Drax. But we need to start off in hero mode here. So, stats-wise, we've got 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 defense. They're not good stats. The average is like 2-2-2, so 1-1-2 is bad. Drax has bad stats. The thwart we could forgive. The attack? Nah. Hand size is 4. Hand size of 4 is dreadful. I don't know how many of you have put much time into playing Hulk, but Hulk is another one that really springs to mind with me as a hand size of 4 kind of hero. It's not fun, ladies and gentlemen. It's not fun at all. Now, we do have 14 hit points, which is very, very high, but we start off with thwart of 1, attack of 1, hand size of 4. This ain't looking good on the face of it. But Drax gets +1 attack for each vengeance counter on him. Okay, what's a vengeance counter? Well, after the villain attacks you, you place 1 vengeance counter here, up to a maximum of 3, and if you can't, you draw a card. So actually, this now makes perfect sense, because either you are building up your vengeance counters, and if you've got 3, you've got an attack of 4. An attack of 4 is gigantic. That's more than Hulk. But if you've already got 3 vengeance counters on, you draw a card, which very much helps to mitigate your low hand size. So you're then essentially talking about attack of 4, hand size of 5, in which case the stats don't look bad at all. They're starting to look pretty gosh darn good. Now, over in alter ego form, we got recovery of 4, which is high. We expect to see 3 here. We got a hand size of 6, which is what we see in alter ego mode, and hit points of 14, which is high. So the stats in alter ego mode are pretty good. But after you change to this form, you remove all vengeance counters from Drax, and you heal 2 damage for each vengeance counter removed in this way. So if you've taken 10 damage, and you've got 3 vengeance counters on, you flick to alter ego mode, heal 6, recover, heal 4, you've just healed 10 damage, which is honestly more HP than a bunch of heroes even have. And that's how Drax works. It is all about building up those vengeance counters, getting off some big attacks, and then healing up with your high hit points. Now, when I told you it was going to be Drax, a bunch of people asked me what I thought the aspect was going to be, and it was never going to be aggression, because we've already seen both Rocket and Gamora with aggression. Leadership didn't work, justice didn't work, aggression made the most sense, but we've already seen Rocket and Gamora, so there was no way we were going to have aggression. So we've got protection. And I'm honestly a little bit sad that I never got a chance to make that prediction publicly. So feel free to tell me I didn't call it. I'm absolutely fine with that. But this is what makes the most sense here. It was pretty much always going to end up being protection. Which, of course, does make perfect sense, because essentially what you end up with is you sit there and you block and you deal damage because of your vengeance counters, and then you go and heal up. Like, I cannot be the only one that thinks this makes kind of perfect sense, and honestly sounds kind of fun in a way we should probably be playing it. So what we're expecting are a bunch of cards that help you to deal lots of damage and protect yourself. Well, we've got Fight Me Coward, a 0-cost event. Ready your hero, draw a card, the villain attacks you. Well, if you've set up your protection deck well enough here, you should be in a pretty good position to weather the attack. So you ready, you draw a card, you get attacked but you gain a vengeance counter. Sounds pretty good to me. But then we can look at the 1-cost event Subdue. When an enemy initiates an attack, that enemy gets -3 attack for that attack. So you play Fight Me Coward, you get to ready yourself and draw a card, you get attacked, you get a vengeance counter, but Subdue means I don't really do very much, and you've paid 1 resource between playing both of those cards. Oh yeah, and then maybe you play a bit of Payback, another 0-cost event. After the villain attacks you, deal damage equal to your attack. Remember, if you've got 3 counters on you, 3 vengeance counters, your attack's going to be 4, so they attack you, you subdue them so you take no damage, but then you pay back to deal 4 damage again, and again, you've still only paid 1 resource for all 3 of those cards, which sounds honestly completely nuts as a combo. Now, we've also got Intimidation, a 1-cost event. Yes, we're seeing lots of cheap cards, that's good. You remove threat equal to your attack. Now, I love this because you need a way to get rid of threat on the scheme, and obviously your natural thwart is very low, but here you build up your vengeance counters, you then got an attack of 4, so now you've got a 1-cost event that removes 4 threat from a scheme. And then, of course, you're never going to want to actually thwart with Drax. If you've got 3 vengeance counters on, you've got a thwart of 1, attack of 4. You are not going to want to remove threat using your natural thwart. So a card like Intimidation seems pretty gosh darned awesome. Knife Leap is a 3-cost event. Again, it's a Drax card. But you reduce the cost of playing it by 1 for each vengeance counter on Drax. So if you've got the maximum 3 vengeance counters, it becomes free to play. Now at this stage, it's worth pointing out, what we essentially see here is a bunch of cards that are really rewarding you for having the maximum amount of vengeance counters on. Knife Leap becomes free. Intimidation will give you a thwart of 4. Payback will give you an attack or a damage of 4. These are great cards. But if you go to Alter Ego mode, yeah, you get the massive healing, but you've then got to build up those vengeance counters again, and a lot of your cards are going to be nerfed while you do that. That is going to add a whole bunch of strategy and timing to play in this deck, which, as you should know if you watch me Marvel Champions videos here, I am all in favour of things that make me think a little bit more. Now, it's a hero interrupt. When you make a basic attack, you get +5 attack for that attack, plus overkill and piercing. Piercing will remove a tough status counter before you do all the damage, and overkill means if you attack a minion, any excess damage will go to the villain. So you could take out a 6 health minion with toughness while doing 3 damage to the villain. That's a little bit nuts. If you've got 3 vengeance counters on, it is a 0-cost event, which is going to essentially put you up to 9 attack, which is clearly preposterous. Now, looking at a couple of other protection cards to finish off here, we've got Leading Blow, a 0-cost event. When your hero makes a basic attack, discard the top card of the encounter deck. Remember, when the encounter deck runs out, you get an acceleration token, so this will get you closer to an acceleration token. Reduce your hero's attack for that attack by the number of printed boost icons on that card. Which sounds like a bad thing, right? It is. If that attack still deals damage, ready your hero. I love that. So leading blow is exactly what it says. This isn't going to be some gigantic attack, but if you've got an attack of, say, 4, well, you're not going to end up not dealing damage because most of the time, you know, the most it's going to be reduced by is like 3. So, okay, you're poking a tiny bit of damage, but it's a zero-cost event that lets you poke a little bit of damage and then ready yourself. So if you really need to do, say, 10 damage, but you're only going to do 9, this will let you poke a little bit and then deal the damage. It's not a card I think we're going to be playing willy-nilly all the time, because sometimes dealing 1 damage is not going to be worth, you know, using this card. It could be used to pay for another card and discarding an encounter card. But there are going to be times when poking for that little bit of damage is awesome. We could also take a little bit of a look here at another protection card, Hard Knocks, a free cost event, and bearing in mind most of the ones I've showed you here are either 1, 0, or there's a way to bring them down. You deal 4 damage to an enemy. If the enemy is defeated, give your hero a tough status card. So okay, it's quite expensive, especially in the context of Drax. Also, bear in mind, I've told you that in hero mode, you want a really low hand size, although mitigated if you've got 3 vengeance counters on. But actually, having a low hand size really isn't such a big downside if so many of your cards, and we've not seen all of them, it could change when we see the whole list, but if all of these cards, or the majority of them, really are 0 or 1 cost, that is going to really, really help. Dealing 4 damage while getting a tough status counter, yes. We've then got the ally Moondragon, the final card we've got to talk about that was revealed. 1 free cost, which is high, 2 health, and you know by now if you've been watching these videos, I am not a fan of allies when the cost is higher than the health. It's got to be good. 1 thwart, taking a damage, 1 attack, taking a damage. Everything about this so far makes me not like it. I don't like having health which is lower than the cost, and I don't like the 1 thwart or attack taking 1 damage back. But you may exhaust and discard Moondragon, choose a minion, and that minion attacks another enemy of your choice. So you can take a really powerful minion and make it attack the enemy, as in the villain, or another minion, so 1 minion can take out another, and actually now I'm in. Because I'm basically getting 1 thwart or 1 attack with Moondragon, and that's it. I'm then down to 1 health, and I use the action to exhaust and discard it, choose a minion, and then make it attack somebody else. And actually, in that regard, I am in, ladies and gentlemen. I am absolutely in. Of course, remember when you do go to alter ego mode, do all of your healing, this is going to be really nice to try and basically make the minions fight each other. There is actually one other card that we can see in the montage. It is Drax's Knife. It is a 1 cost upgrade. It's a restricted card, and that's basically all we know. There's something to do with X and the word gets, but we don't really have a huge amount of information there. I don't think we can really analyze this card. Drax looks fun. I think there are going to be some monster turns with Drax that really do just go absolutely nuts. There are things about it that worries me. With your low stats when you don't have the vengeance counters on, what happens when you flick into alter ego mode, do all the healings, you then have a couple of really slow turns. But this looks like one that could be an awful lot of fun. And, I mean, I'm going to buy all of these the second they're released anyway, so this sounds kind of fun to me. But I want to know what you think. I want to know how you feel about Drax, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy. That's where we talk about Marvel Champions and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wassy Plays.